Welcome to Property Pro Tips. Dive into the heart of multifamily and commercial real estate with industry leaders, insights, and real stories. From seasoned investors to the latest market news, we've got you covered. Let's talk real estate for real.
You will never learn anything when you speak. You only learn when you listen. 23 years ago, 2003, I was new to United States. I didn't speak the language and I started applying for jobs. The first serious opportunity that came my way was a part-time job as a groundskeeper at an apartment community. I took that. The rest is history.
Being in this industry for 20 plus years, what are the biggest mistakes you see teams make during the rent ready or make ready process of an apartment unit?
If I was to just respond in one word, friction, I just think that execution is a big thing. Someone's decision to actually renew, it's kind of made on a moving date. Before long, the entire unit was covered in mold. Inspect what you expect. Those that leverage the incredible power of good technology are gonna make it ahead of everybody else. We will have digital employees in the future.
Welcome everybody to another round of Property Pro Tips straight from the pros. And today we have the luxury of having one Adrian Danila with us. Welcome, Adrian.
Trevor, thank you for having me. Excited to be here today.
I've been looking forward to this show all week, my friend. Adrian is the founder of Multifamily X Consulting, and he is a expert in multifamily marketing and professional partnership, focused on getting companies seen, trusted, and chosen in the industry. His background centers on building influence, strong business relationships, and growth through strategic partnership, while his role as a podcast host keeps him in front of everybody and a lot cooler than me because he's got a lot more people listening. So again, thank you so for joining us on my humble podcast. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Adrian. How'd you get started and how'd you find yourself here, sir?
23 years ago, 2003, I was new to United States. I didn't speak the language and I started applying for jobs. I want to become an American. And I know that the first step is going to be learning the language and, maybe work with some Americans. So you could, get up to speed on the customs and, learn how things are. And that's the reason why I came here into United States. So the first serious opportunity that came my way was a part-time job as a groundskeeper at an apartment community. I took that and the rest is history. 23 years later, I'm still in love with the industry. I'm still around. I'm not a groundskeeper anymore, but loving what I do and serving the industry.
Are you saying what first drew you to the multifamily industry was groundskeeping?
Yeah, that was my first job. That was my first job.
What about it didn't make you go running, screaming away from it and actually wanted you to stay in it?
Well, honestly, I like the fact that you could be outdoors and you don't have to provide high levels of customer service. At that point, I wasn't even able to because I wasn't speaking the language. I was in process of learning. So this was the perfect opportunity for me, have maybe a few interactions here and there, help me practice English and in between picking up trash and keeping the place clean. So I thought that was a win-win situation for me.
And where was the property located?
Duluth, Georgia.
How was the weather of that versus Romania, where you came from?
A little warmer. The summers are a little warmer than Romania, and humid too. Humidity is significantly higher in Georgia than where I'm coming from, than Romania.
So now does it snow everywhere in Romania?
Not everywhere, but in most parts of the country. Now, they have years they're like warmer that you barely see any snow, right?
Wow, it's not consistent. Okay.
When it snows, but when it snows, it's about the entire country that gets snowed.
Was it at least a little better in Georgia? So the first place you work, was the weather just a little better than where you first came from in Romania?
A better weather. Georgia is I say I enjoy. Why? Because I'm not a cold person, right? I'm not a person that enjoys cold. I enjoy more warm weather. So, we had more warm days in a year, I'll say, in Georgia than we had in Romania. So I'll take Georgia for weather.
What are the biggest mistakes, being in this industry for 20 plus years, what are the biggest mistakes you see teams make during the rent ready or make ready process of an apartment unit?
I just think that execution is a big thing. Most companies have standard operating procedures that say every vacant unit should be turned into either like 5 working days or 7 calendar days, which is basically the same thing, right? A week. And because there's an SOP, I think higher ups often assume that actually it's being met. The part of inspecting what they expect doesn't always happen. So then you end up with huge extended periods of time that you have units sitting vacant, not ready. Now, when you have lower levels of vacancy, probably that's not an issue. But when you're at 90% and you want to get to 95,
Right.
it's imperious that you get that product ready so it could be leased. There's an old saying that I learned: what doesn't get ready doesn't get leased.
Where you just have units down where somebody's like, oh, there's one unit, then we're going to do the rest. Yeah, I'm not a believer. So
Yeah.
how do
So-
you advise when you're consulting with your clients? How do you advise reducing that turn, at least, I guess, realistically looking at that turn time?
So I'll say if you're using a manual process, and the vast majority of the industry does use, they're still using manual processes.
Like
Start
like
with
a
the notice.
checkboard, like a make ready board, like that.
You'll be surprised, Trevor.
Wow.
Even those that use technology, right? Like maintenance specific, built specifically for maintenance workflows. Most of those tech pieces have the board that you see, the whiteboard that you see on the walls. They do that, they put it on a dashboard on a computer screen, but you still have to like do the work manually. So instead, like writing with a dry erase thing, now you're just taking that and you just type in the dates, but it's not a sophisticated process yet, or it does not have a level of automation at all. Now there are products that are just make ready specific that do that automation part, I have to say. So if you choose a product like that, that will actually do it for you, and it triggers from the moment you place the notice to vacate. It triggers the entire make ready process to where it doesn't have to be touched by humans.
What type of third-party tool we use, Yardi? What do you which integrates it mostly with everything?
Yes, Rent Ready.
Rent Ready.
Rent Ready is a great product. As soon as you place the notice to vacate, that triggers the entire chain of events, right? Your painting, your cleaning, your everything. And also at the end of the process, you only get like one invoices per unit. In other words, instead like having to deal with, a painter, a cleaner, a carpet cleaner, so on and so forth, you only get at the end, you only deal like with one entity and you get one invoices versus 4 or 5. So it saves you time, and it also saves you money on processing invoices, because most companies are paying now per invoice processed.
Correct. And it sounds like it gives a good super bill to the owner as well, as when there's turnovers and you have invoices coming from left, right, and center from different vendors. You can't it's hard to get an overview of the roll up. How much did that turn actually cost? Right. Usually trying to do accounting codes together.
Yeah, not only that, but it doesn't leave room for error, because if you currently were in the past have worked with like, small mom and pop companies, I'm sure that probably you got surprise hit by, 3 months later with a stack of invoices. They're saying,
Right.
We're here to bring the invoices. Like, why didn't you bring them on time? Like a week after the work was done, and they bring 3-6 months later, they bring a stack of them and they want you to pay them. So that's kind of eliminated by that type of automation, so you don't have those surprise invoices.
I've totally seen those before. No, all of ours are automated through Vendor Cafe. And the invoices come in from the vendors, which goes straight into Yardi, all that is automated because of, as you say, invoice chaos. I mean, it's crazy. Thousands a day that used to come in before we automated that. So tell me, Adrian, for the property owner listening, what are the hidden costs of poor turnover execution? Like execute poorly and what happens?
Well, first of all, you're going to have a higher percentage of resident turnover. If you put them into a unit that's not ready, into a product that doesn't look good, chances are you're not going to have them sign a renewal. So your cost of, getting leases is going to increase, right? And also your vacancy loss numbers are going to stay up, because you're going to have continuous, like turning residents over versus having someone that, might stay 2, 3, 4 or more lease cycles. We learn through polls and surveys that were done over the years as an industry that someone's decision to actually renew, it's kind of made on a moving date. If they have a great moving date, if they have a great moving date experience, that matters more than just about the rest of the lease, right?
Wow. That is a statistic I've not seen on like a Zillow PowerPoint or something. That makes sense.
It's extremely important. If you get your,
First
moving
impressions,
right, chances are all of your other indicators or your other KPIs are gonna look better, down the road. So that's something that's being missed. I think another thing that's being missed in the turnover process, if you really are a company that's focused on getting units ready, in a week per unit, and you see that there's 2 or 3 units 2 or 3 weeks, or more, that the units are sitting out there, not being ready, I think probably you should ask your operator, hey, what's going on right here? And then second thing is, are we inspecting those units? I had situations when I used to work for a very large operator as a director of maintenance. Every quarter, I would do property inspections, right? And part of my property inspections was to take the 3 oldest sitting ready units and walk them, and the 3 oldest sitting not ready units and walk those. And then one of the units that was marked as ready on availability sheet, I enter and it was blowing mold. What happened is they had a water heater leak on a hot water site that generated steam, and before long the entire unit was covered in mold.
Right, because of the steam.
Yes, and because I used to work for a third party operator, when they went to present the situation to the owner said, it was part of your due diligence to make sure we didn't get to this point. Therefore, you're going to have to eat the bill. And this was many, many, many years ago, probably 15 years ago. And I think at the time, the price tag for that negligence went up to like $36,000.
Because they had to pull all the drywall off down to the studs, sanitize it. Wow. That's a lot now. I mean, that would be like $75,000 around. Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Those are great examples. Those are actually very, very good examples, Adrian, of what like the hidden costs, like the hidden costs of not doing turnovers fast enough. Well, mold grows in the unit and it becomes like a red tag habitability issue. Why wouldn't you put your stuff on the market, right?
Inspect what you expect.
Expect what you expect. Love it. So, Adrian, from your perspective, what separates technology that truly helps on-site teams from technology that just creates more buttons to push, more work?
If I was to just respond in one word, friction, right?
Friction.
Yes. Why? Because if I'm a maintenance technician, most of the maintenance related technology, honestly, was not built with the end user in mind. It was built for the corporate office, right? So they could have a nice dashboard, they just needed more dashboards on top of the 1,000 that, all the other providers are building for them. And then the end user was actually told that they should follow this compliance type of steps and follow these steps in order to complete a work order without actually any major thought being put into how do these guys really operate, and are we really making it easy for them to gather the data, to take pictures, to type in completion notes and then hit complete, or are we making it harder? And the answer is most products that are out there, they're making it harder, right? They're not making it easier for the end user because they're being built with other people in mind, which are the people that actually approve the contracts, but they're the people that never are the end user.
Right. So do you have a app modality or way that you think is, in your experience, works the best for the end user, for the maintenance tech that's out there under the sink, completing his work order, taking pictures? What's your experience of the best apps?
One of the best that I've seen, right, on the market currently is an app called AppWork. AppWork. Another one that's very popular in the industry, right? It's called HappyCo.
Yes, I am familiar with that. And it used to just be an inspection app.
Yes. Yeah, they started
around a long time. Yeah, it's been around like 15 years.
You're right. They started as an inspection app and they started building more modules, right? So now they're doing.
It used to be called HappyCo. It used to be called Happy Company or Happy Inspector. It used to be called Happy Inspector. That's what it was, right?
True. It's true. Happy Inspector was. Yeah,
right, that's how I know it. And so they're now a full stack standalone kind of tech.
Yeah.
Like a tech module where techs complete their work orders, clock in, clock out.
Inspections, right? Inspections and work orders. There might be other modules that I'm not aware of, but for the most part, just inspections, make readies, and work orders. So everything that's in a maintenance workflow, that's part of the typical maintenance workflow at the site.
Adrian, when you walk into a struggling property or operation or circus, what are the first signs that show you what can be improved? Like, what are you're like, oh, that's it right there. Those are the 3 from your perspective.
I had to say that unless I'm asked like on the spot, hey, can we walk this property? The first thing that I will do, I will ask for access to their PMS or their, work order management app, because there's a lot of stories that you could tell without actually being on a site. How long does it take to typically complete work orders, to turn units, things of that nature, right? All those indicators are indicator of like a property that's struggling versus a property that's, top shape. Are inspections done on time? Are the preventive inspections completed? How often are they getting completed? And a very important one that I think most owners aren't looking for is that how often are my vacant units being walked? And one thing that I don't, in my 20 plus years, I never seen anyone asking is, show me a key report that actually shows the keys that they were pulled. Show me a report that shows the vacant apartments, right, when they were accessed, and compare that against your availability. That tells you if your site employees actually walk the vacant units or not. The key report does not lie.
Interesting. As because the way they have to share, so we're scattered site third parties. So like in California, buildings are smaller. Average building size is like 30s in units. So we don't check. Managers are on site. They have the keys. So we wouldn't, they would never check keys in or out because we don't have a key check in and out kind of system. They're either automatic like fob keys, or the manager just has a key rack and it's the manager checking in and out. So that's interesting. That's the difference between East Coast, West Coast. I think there's the bigger, older buildings, you have a key checkout system. That's an amazing way to do it. I wonder if we could find a way to link that with tech, like with the lock boxes.
I think there is. You go next level, right? You go hotel locks.
Right. Or
and then
code locks or something.
Yeah, and you have those that have a memory. So basically, you don't actually have physical keys, but you could unlock with your phone if you're a user, right? And then the system has the ability to record all the timestamps, so like in and out. And
that's true. And you
provide records.
And you just put those on each of your vacants, not in, and then move them to the next vacant. So that way, all 8, if they're being looked at or not, or sitting there.
Yeah,
because. As you know, a weekend of people walking through it needs to be cleaned again. At least wiped down. It never happens.
Even if you have occupiers, like if you implement a system like that, it's actually great for liability, because you could always like tell, hey, was anybody that was unauthorized to enter an unoccupied unit might have a complaint from a resident. Hey, I experienced theft. You could always pull a report and say, our report shows that our employees were in your unit or they weren't.
Right. Here's the auto lock, right? Oh, that's great.
Exactly.
Easy to say to like those with like 10 units, but yeah, when you have 500 units and you want to put 500 smart locks on, it's a little harder sell, it seems. You gotta build it that way, right? So
I've seen a lot of like older properties that have upgraded over the years.
It's going that way because the cost has come down from the $200 lock that used to be, and it's getting down into the sub 100s to like where Quickset's got a pretty decent deadbolt that keeps track of things for like $50 or something like that. It's getting to where it's achievable.
Definitely, there's a lot of technology out there now that's available. The challenge is, again, this goes back to friction. Even though we're now talking about hardware combined with software, like friction. What's do they operate with batteries? How long those batteries last?
Right.
All the stuff. How often do I have to change batteries? It's like you might think that you solve a problem, but then you open a whole lot of new can of worms if it's not the right product.
Absolutely correct. In that case, you can just like we did with smoke alarms. The first 2 batteries are free, the rest are your responsibility. California, we have to wire them. They have to come with a 10-year capacitor now, so that we don't have to worry about that anymore. But before, that used to be in the leases.
It's actually national, where if I could be wrong, it might be international code, right? Where you require, well, I'm not sure about that, but I know they
state
exist.
to state,
like the 10-year batteries exist.
California requires them.
Yeah, but you could only keep one smoke detector for 5 years, I believe. Like, even if they're in working condition, you must replace them for 10 years, not every 10 years. Like that's code.
Every 10 years.
So the code is that every 10 years. So you might as well just like buy one that has a 10-year battery. And then when the battery expires, you got to replace the entire thing anyway.
Right. Exactly. It's been 10 years. Of course. And easy enough. But yeah, California required that. They made it a law. We didn't have a choice. We had to it was a retroactive law too. It had to be 10-year batteries and that's it. And that's all. No other option. Well, okay. That solves that. So looking ahead, Adrian, what do you think the best operators in the multifamily space or commercial property space will be doing differently in the next 5 years, 10 years?
I think those that leverage the incredible power of good technology, especially we're living in a era right now of AI that's an unprecedented revolution, right,
Absolutely.
for the humanity. Those that will properly understand and leverage this type of technology are gonna make it ahead of everybody else. And I wanted to say one other thing: the leverage that AI technology gives you. If you're 1 year ahead of the pack, adopting and implementing technology, really implementing, not just like surface level, it makes it,
Not just answering emails.
yeah, it makes it always impossible for those from behind to catch up.
Right, because
The 1 year is such a hard thing to close the gap on. So that's the advantage. And I'm not preaching here replace a bunch of employees and just use AI instead. Although we will have digital employees in the future, and it's not. I don't think the future is too far out. A lot of companies are already experimenting, doing leasing just exclusively using AI technologies and tools. So we're not too far from digital employees, but I think the ones that are gonna be the most successful are gonna be the ones that have very knowledgeable employees that know how to leverage AI and also good technology, AI especially, that works.
Let's talk a little more about that, Adrian, because we here at Beachfront Property Management, we've leaned heavily in AI on our side, and because similar to what you say, it's if you don't get in now, you're going to be forever catching up. Even though there is no exactly what is in now, because it's the frontier. There is no where's the top. There is no top yet, because we don't know where this ends or if it does. But there's certainly a compounding set of skills and knowledge when it comes to like building, prompt engineering, agents, orchestrating agents, and building the right harnesses with the right GPTs, and how does that all go together, and how do you even speak that language? Well, that's me doing it for 3 years, messing around. It's only where that language comes from. I wasn't. My master's was not in computer science. But so, what do you see is the best use of AI right now from companies you've been working with, or how are you working with it to, besides like the surface level, plan my week for food or workout routine or whatever that I see people using?
I'm gonna speak for maintenance because that's kind of where
Absolutely.
most of my expertise is, professional expertise. There's still areas that aren't enough tapped out there. We're not tapping into. One of them is training and learning, right? And when you think about us, generally speaking, as an industry, national level, we only have 10 national trainers for a workforce that's over 200. More like, if we were to be at capacity staffed, which we are, but if we were, you're looking at 230,000 employees in maintenance. That means you have one national trainer for 23,000 employees.
Wow.
That would never move the needle, right? So you're not gonna hire or create an army of trainers, because there's a reason why we only have 10, right? It's because somebody is not out there to pay for this, knowledge. It's just, if people will pay for it, positions will be created. So
Right.
you have that situation.
Overhead.
Exactly. You're not gonna have an army of trainers available. So now how do you leverage that? So I think technology is gonna play an incredible role. You could have AI agents being deployed, right? And providing that specific information that your technicians in the field need on demand in a conversational way, right?
Right.
Not like before, to where you sign up for a class and you're gonna sit an hour in front of a computer to watch, like a stupid video that you forget the very next second after you take the test. Just for the record, right? Learning management systems don't teach you anything.
No, you need to learn how it is applied.
They don't. So the see and do, seeing it and then doing it is the way. And the way, the missing piece out there is that, you're not always going to have your supervisor with you to ask him a question or over the phone.
Right.
You're gonna have AI agents being your buddies out there that you could talk to back and forth.
In
an
earpiece, so you're not bothering any tenant, right? You got your earpods in, just talking to it.
Even that. Voice activated, to me, is the next frontier. I'm watching myself, right? I hate typing, and when I'm driving is not even safe, right? But I could always hit a microphone button and send a text message, or I could hit the mic button and I speak to ChatGPT, and it gives me, or Claude for that matter.
Right.
So I'm seeing that this becoming a must, right? And especially for those that their first language isn't English, right?
Right.
That's automated translation. I heard that they made
Automatic.
like earpods right now that actually automatically translate to you,
Translate.
which is incredible.
Interesting. I believe if you speak into the microphone button in ChatGPT or Claude, not the computer microphone button, but just its microphone button in whatever language, it will understand. It will then it might start responding in that same language, because I think it's 40 or 50 languages that is quite fluent, and we'll just switch to it and start talking to it.
The technology is readily available, and AI makes that, so much more accessible and way cheaper than the old school technology.
Completely. So it opens it up for so many more ways to use it. For those who you don't need to know English to like go be a maintenance tech, because you can learn everything you need to know right there on your phone as you're doing. You have to be skilled with tools.
100%.
That's the biggest problem AI has is it doesn't have hands and arms. Is the crossover into the physical? So that therein lies the value. I mean, if you're looking to be a plumber, maintenance tech, welder, we need you. Electricians, all of those trades more so than any time ever now. Right?
Badly. And you can make good money. You can make a good living too.
And with that, let's wrap up with our last question, Adrian. What is the one lesson this industry has taught you about leadership that applies far beyond property management?
One lesson. You see, I'm not doing well when I'm being asked, leadership questions. I just think we're inundated by, literature, and it hasn't been a science, right? People might claim it's a science, and there are so many styles out there. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. I consider myself a student of the trade. I think just staying humble. The people that I've seen most successful in this business, the leaders, are the most humble people ever. And they're not gonna wanna spend time with you telling you things. They wanna know what do you think. They will be asking questions and listening. And it's a reason why they do that, right? Because we have one mouth and 2 ears. So listen twice as much as you speak, and you will never learn anything when you speak. You only learn when you listen. So that's the biggest lesson that I've learned from big leaders that I met in our industry.
The power of just being quiet and listening, actively listening.
Yeah.
Right? Love it, Adrian. All right. Now to the rapid fire round. 6 quick questions. Say as much as you want or as little as you want. Go on forever or don't go on at all. Or ask it and give you the open mic, and I'll be quiet. I'm not going to expound, and I'll try not to laugh because these are kind of funny sometimes. Are you ready?
Good.
Question number 1, email or phone call?
Text message. If I only had to pick one, it's going to be email.
Your number 1 go-to productivity hack?
Wake up in the morning before everybody else. You get a couple of hours of work in before everybody else is starting getting, waking up and getting needy. You're going to be ahead of the pack. That makes for a great day always.
5 a.m. club. LinkedIn or Instagram?
100% LinkedIn. I'm a LinkedIn guy through and through. Use Instagram a little bit, but LinkedIn 100%.
One word that makes a partnership work.
That makes one work?
One word that makes a partnership work.
I'll multiply it, right? And I'll say win-win. I'll make win-win one word. That's what it is.
It's a hyphen.
Yeah.
Favorite movie ever?
I think this is a tough one. It's a really tough one. I'm a movie lover. I think The Usual Suspects.
Ooh.
I think The Usual Suspects, but I have a few really oldies by goldies, the Godfather series that I can.
Oh, yeah.
And I also have Once Upon a Time in America, very heavy movies. But I'll probably say if I only had to choose one, like The Usual Suspects will be. The end of it is like the most unbelievable, end.
Amazing.
And it's just that makes this so powerful.
Right. Kaiser, so say. And lastly, what's one hidden talent you have that no one knows about, Adrian?
It's kind of hard to talk about myself and my talents. I think not necessarily that this is a talent. I think something that I'm developing, right? I become a better writer, right? I'm becoming a better writer. I study writing a lot. And I practice a lot, copywriting, and I'm loving it. So I'm not sure that would be.
That's a hidden. I mean, if you love writing,
talent,
that's God bless you.
It's something that I've been working on, and I've seen like the fruits of my labor too.
If you love it, then there's nothing wrong with it, right? One thing I learned from one of my mentors is like sometimes the only reason to do something is because you want to, because it's fun. There's no, you need no other reason.
And that should always be the only reason,
Right.
Ideally.
Right. Ideally, exactly. Or if you're helping people, and it has its own joy. I'm with you on that. All right, Adrian. So tell me, that brings us to the end of our show. Tell me, let our guests know, or our viewers know, what's the best way to get in touch with you, and who would you like to meet, and where would you like to meet those kinds of people, so they can get in touch with you in case they're looking for your service, want to have you on a podcast, want to take you to coffee or drinks,
So Adrian at multifamilyxconsulting.com, phone number 678-469-7708. You could always find me on LinkedIn a lot. It's Adrian, first name, middle initial C, last name Danila. I love to meet with people that are in a property management space, multifamily, right? Whether you're an owner, investor, a manager, whether you're a service provider, everybody that's operating, that's owning and operating real estate is a person that I will always have a coffee with and wanted to chat with.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being on the phone, Adrian, on the phone and the show. Loved your insight into maintenance. Like you have some of the most detailed and specific operator boots on the ground insight that I've any guest I've had on the show, because you went deep with that. And I really appreciate your insight, and you can tell it's only from experience. This industry is an experience based. No matter how much you study, it's time in the field, from my perspective.
I appreciate you having me, Trevor. It was a real pleasure.
Well, thank you.
Just being here with you today.
Oh, thank you. Well.